This week, Siskel and Ebert review Patrick Swayze as an American doctor in Calcutta in City of Joy. Undercover cop Larry Fishburne becomes partners with drug dealer Jeff Goldblum in Deep Cover. And John Goodman stars as one of baseball's greatest in The Babe.
You people, you're acting like sheep. You bow your heads and take this nightmare like you have no choice.
Patrick Swayze plays a disillusioned American doctor who finds meaning in life working among the poor in India in City of Joy, one of 5 new films we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert, along with a film about women's preoccupation with losing weight and a movie about Babe Ruth. I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. Our first movie is named City of Joy, and it tells the story of a surgeon from Houston who simply walks away from the hospital one day because he's tired of the stress and pressure of being a modern doctor. He goes as far away as he can possibly get, all the way to Calcutta, where he hopes to be an anonymous tourist, I guess, although he is immediately picked out of the crowd by an Irish woman who runs a clinic there.
How long are you here for?
Don't try to recruit me. You got your non-practicing Catholics? I'm a non-practicing doctor.
That's Patrick Swayze as the runaway doctor and Pauline Collins as the woman who wants him to stop and make a contribution. Swayze gets involved in the needs of the clinic almost despite himself.
Oh, God. How long has she been in labor?
Long time.
Fumina, when did the bleeding start? 20 minutes, I think.
The midwives, I don't know what to do.
What should we do? I don't know what to do. Max?
I could come with you. I've had 3 children.
You have any diazepam?
No.
Maureen?
No.
You have anything at this clinic? Morphine, anything?
No, nothing.
The movie also stars Om Puri as a man from the countryside who desperately wants to support his family, but is at the mercy of a rich gangster who controls all of the rickshaws in the district.
Leave your rickshaw here. Iska rickshaw le lo. Dekhiye, ya kya dekh rahe ho yaar?
Abu, please.
Your rickshaw will be reserved for people who deserve our trust. Go.
Abu, I'll be ruined. This is as if the ground has opened.
The Swayze character angrily attacks the system which he thinks the poor people buy into, accepting their fate instead of fighting against it.
Sorry, I did not do this all on my own. You participated too. Did I take your damn rickshaw? Did I make you live in this hole? No.
So if you want to be pissed at me, go ahead, that's fine. But you should get pissed at the people who are really using you.
City of Joy is not an easy film to review. Parts of it work and parts of it don't work. It was directed by Roland Joffe, who made The Killing Fields and The Mission, and is attracted, I guess, to the tension between East and West. He wants to show cultures in conflict here, but he's drawn almost despite himself into the traditional Hollywood ending where everybody fights and the good guys win. He may be criticized for casting Patrick Swayze in the lead, since this is not what you think of as a Swayze role exactly, but I didn't object to that casting. I thought Swayze was acceptable as the superficial, escapist, rich young doctor who's gradually seduced by the Calcutta reality. Pauline Collins is fine as the head of the clinic, and Om Puri makes the rickshaw driver into a man who is a victim but not a loser. The Calcutta locations are unforgettable. There's too much formula in the movie for my taste, but it's honorable and well made, and I give it thumbs up.
And I give it thumbs down, and I think here was the test for me, Roger. I thought it was really a lot of Hollywood dumped into Calcutta, and I wanted to see Calcutta. And so literally, Roger, as I'm watching the story play out, I was searching, and maybe your eye did this too, I was searching the backgrounds for the real Calcutta, because I am interested in this enormous land with this tremendous population and this great story, and I didn't feel I saw it when I saw this picture. Instead, I saw Hollywood people working in front of it, and it bothered me. And, you know, increasingly, we're getting pictures now. It's amazing. Last week's show was full of films about different political correct issues, and films that are on the right side of the rainforest, and Puerto Ricans not being employed in the movie industry, and gays not getting a fair enough shake in the world. And here's another one, and it's really becoming very common now as film critics. We're to be politically correct. I think that the film is obviously politically correct. I just don't think the drama is there.
I don't think we're that far apart on this film, actually, you know, if you really look at it. I was also looking in the backgrounds, and another thing I was thinking about during the film was another film called Salaam, Bombay, which was shot on location in Bombay with people from Bombay, where they live and where they work, and which was a lot more realistic.
And how about Louis Malle's film, the whole series that he did in India, which was spectacular?
Yeah, but on the other hand, I did feel that this film had some real value to it in terms of the way it showed, for example, that rickshaw driver, and he brings his family from the country, and then he can't get work, and then he does get work, and then he loses work, and all of that subplot. The Om Puri story is what I'm giving this movie thumbs up for.
He's the most interesting character in the film.
Okay.
Our next movie is called Proof, and it's an intriguing little Australian drama about a blind man who is distrustful of ever being told the truth or of finding love. Hugo Weaving plays Martin, the blind man, who's befriended by a dishwasher as the blind man's jealous housekeeper looks on. Martin tests everyone he meets by asking them to describe photos he's taken.
Can you see Bill anywhere? Yes, I see Bill. What's he doing? Who's he with? Is he with anyone? Yes.
Actually, Celia, the housekeeper, played by Geneviève Picot, has a crush on Martin.
I'm a bit of a photographer myself, Martin.
Really? What do you photograph?
Things I love. I don't think you realize how fond I am of you.
I'm getting a fair idea.
Celia is jealous of Martin's new friend, Andy, and she figures out a way to break up his friendship with Martin by seducing him.
I think he loves you. And you lied to him about the photograph. You lied for me.
That's a real good performance by Geneviève Picot in this film. Proof is a modest drama, but it does grow on you as you realize its theme of tentative trust and love is universal. We are all scared and blind about love, this film is saying, and to make it work, to make love work, does require a kind of leap of faith that the blind Martin is nervous about making. Proof is the first film directed by Jocelyn Moorhouse, and it's a promising beginning.
You liked it, but I think I liked it a lot more than you did. I think it's more than just a beginning. It's a very confident and fresh and unusual film about these particular people. I mean, the relationship between that blind man and his housekeeper, who in fact is not of an economic level of a maid at all, but is just acting as his maid because that's her way to get to him, is very complex here. And the little war games that they have, and then when the third person is introduced, the way everything explodes is fascinating. And I love that central performance of Martin, the blind man, who is so bitter and so rigid and so unbending and so concerned that everything be done exactly his way, and how he learns a little bit to change. This is a really smart film.
Well, I liked it too. Coming up next, John Goodman portrays one of baseball's legends in The Babe.
He's human, he's an animal.
He's a god.
That's John Goodman, and that is the electrifying moment everybody remembers from the legend of Babe Ruth, the day he allegedly called his shot and hit a home run during the 1932 World Series. The Babe is a movie that wants to tell the truth behind the legend, but I don't think it does, and I'm not sure I'd want to know the truth if it did want to tell it. This is a sad movie about a sad man, and although the ads make it look like a comedy, the experience of seeing it is more like living with an alcoholic relative. Sure, the Babe was able to drink all night and hit home runs all day, at least for a while, but his first wife, played here by Trini Alvarado, finally had enough and left with their adopted child. She couldn't stand the infidelity, the drunkenness, and the immaturity.
Order 4 women at one time? What are you? Some kind of animal?
And his second wife, a Ziegfeld Follies girl, played by Kelly McGillis, has to stand up for him when the Yankees cast him into the baseball wilderness.
That stadium down the street is the house that Ruth built, Buster. When the Black Sox threw the series, baseball almost went under, but that overgrown child kept the people coming. He saved baseball.
Even the movie's high points lead to low points later on. This is the famous moment when the Babe makes a promise to a sick kid.
Babe's gonna sock you a home run in the game tomorrow. Would that make you feel better, Johnny? Two?
Now, that's an inspiring scene, all right, but it comes back to haunt us in the fictionalized ending when the Babe hits 3 home runs in his last game, and then that kid, that very same kid, who is now a grown man, jumps out of the stands and tells the Babe he saved his life years earlier, and here's the autographed ball back that you gave me on what you thought was my deathbed. Endings like that went out in the 40s. Maybe they went out in the 30s. John Goodman is perfectly cast in the movie's title role, and you can see here how good he would have been in a better screenplay, but The Babe is a thoroughly routine and mediocre project that uses all the standard Hollywood psychological cliches, but fails to get under the skin of this American legend. Babe Ruth may have hit a lot of home runs, but here, he's only a pathetic 4.
Actually, I thought it was a very bad movie too. But I would judge it simply on the so-called high points. You attack the low points, which I think are interesting if you're going to write them well.
Yeah.
So I admire that attempt. But on the high points, this is the most cornball kind of movie in the way it was made. And I'm going to have to fault the director, Arthur Hiller, by name. His pattern is high point, cut to the next scene. High point, cut to the next scene. I mean, the way that the little kids thing is handled, that's really amateurish, Roger. It's not thrilling. It's not informed about baseball. In the last few years, we've had so many smart baseball movies, from Bull Durham to the raucous Major League to the picture that this film would like to be, the natural, which showing the grandeur of the great gesture, the great home run, and the way that Barry Levinson filmed that. I mean, this picture looks like maybe a 10-year-old movie of the week. It's that bad.
Yeah, I was really disappointed too, and they did a masterpiece of cutting the trailer.
I didn't see it.
Walking into this movie,
I didn't see it.
I was expecting a great film. Coming up next, Deep Cover, a police thriller about an undercover cop looking to bust a chain of drug dealers.
Because there's only one rule in this game, John. Don't blow your cover.
Why did you join the force?
Because I wanted to be of some use, because I wanted to make a difference somehow.
That's Larry Fishburne, the father in Boys in the Hood, playing an undercover cop assigned to infiltrate drug dealers in Deep Cover, a thriller that has some decent performances, but is undone by routine drug bust scenes. Here's the standard moment when the cop is solicited for the job by the know-it-all drug agent in charge, Charles Martin Smith.
I'm telling you, undercover, all your faults will become virtues. You'll be a star there, John. You'll do a lot more good there than you ever would have in uniform. You will be of use. You will make a difference.
We meet most of the bad guys in this scene as some violent drug thugs confront a drug lawyer played by Jeff Goldblum.
Your friend Eddie just got busted. Now he's bending over for the cops, trying to save his ass. And he's going to lose that skinny little thing.
Did he name it?
The lawyer ends up representing the undercover cop when he does get busted.
You a lawyer?
Yeah, I'm your lawyer.
Who hired you?
I'm handling it pro bono. If you don't want me, there's the PD. And she's good. She just can't provide special services.
NC 37455, People versus John Hull.
Getting your case called for it.
Naturally, there's a chase scene as the film's big deal goes wrong.
Who traded us to the cops, just like Eddie. And Eddie had to die. The same rules should apply to Felix. Never again.
Deep Cover wants to say something fresh about the drug problem, that the higher-ups are politically connected, but that's not news, and the way that it is revealed in this film isn't fresh either. Despite solid performances, I actually found Deep Cover to be kind of boring.
Gene, the boat really left without you on this one. This is one of the most terrific movies of the year. What were you thinking of when you were watching it?
I wasn't thinking of what you were thinking of.
It isn't about higher-ups are connected. It's about, for the first time in a movie that I've seen, a guy, this Fishburne character, who has to weigh the moral consequences of everything that he does. Every single piece of violence in this movie, every killing is then internalized with him in terms of guilt and morality. He has to think about it. He talks about it. It's narrated like a 40s film noir movie, which I thought was very interesting because he's talking about this as an experience that he went through. It's not just a thriller. I mean, even when you say it's a chase scene, it's not a standard chase scene. I know you must have laughed when Jeff Goldblum is going to push the guy out the door and he says, "We'll have shrimp later." Remember that line?
That was one line, and that was amusing. But that's one line of dialogue in a 2-hour movie, Roger.
Oh, but it wasn't just one line of dialogue. I'm talking about the whole dynamic when those people are in the back seat as the car is speeding along and they're trying to push them out the door.
No, I thought that these were fairly standard people. The performers were good. But
they were very good.
I said that twice, actually. But I thought it was routine, and it was about higher-ups, getting up the chain of ladder. That's what the story was about.
I think it was about this man who was asked to enter the criminal underworld without becoming a criminal and having a struggle with his soul the whole time over
We saw that in the picture with Jason Patrick, the same thing. That's not a new development.
Coming up next, The Famine Within, a revealing look at America's preoccupation with body image. Our next movie is a sleeper, a documentary that seems to be finding audiences here and there around the country, maybe by word of mouth, because its subject matter is so urgent that people connect with it. The name of the movie is The Famine Within, and it basically argues that American women are so obsessed with looking like high fashion models that they diet themselves into starvation, even though most models have bodies so unusual they border on the freakish. Talent agent Nina Blanchard says here that almost no woman naturally looks the way most models look.
But out of the 40,000, we found about 10 semifinalists, and then we only found 4, really, that we felt we could conceivably book in the agents.
This is Chris Ault, whose famous sister Carol was a top model, but for Chris, it wasn't that easy.
I got down to about 118 pounds, being close to 5'11". I'm 5'10.5", and the size that I became was size 4. And I never thought I was skinny enough.
Some women find they simply cannot lose weight no matter how few calories they consume every day.
My doctor made me stop. She was aware that there had been a number of deaths from that type of diet and encouraged me to eat just one small meal a day. And on 800 calories a day, I started gaining 10 pounds a week back.
There's real suffering in that scene, and The Famine Within is filled with similar truth. It's also filled with statistics, such as how Miss America seems to get skinnier every year and how the mass media inundate women with images of idealized females, even down to the Barbie doll, whose body is anatomically almost impossible. As a documentary, The Famine Within is pretty standard filmmaking put together like a TV news special, but it does have some chilling moments, as when one woman remembers seeing a magazine photograph of the tragically underweight Karen Carpenter just before she died of anorexia, and the woman says she wanted to figure out how to be that skinny and not die.
That was also Carol Alt's sister, I think, who said that. I found the film to be very powerful in that element of saying that people are being sold a bill of goods that's impossible to attain, and there's probably a lot of very serious psychological suffering because of that, and maybe some physical damage as well. The one part where I thought the film went overboard is when it dumps on exercise and women getting into shape. Remember those sequences? I think that they're just flat out wrong there. I think it is probably a net gain for people to do the exercise and be healthier. I think we're healthier when we do it than previous generations, and that's good. I think it's a case of the documentary going overboard. But for its other theme about the impossibility of having this perfect body, I think the film is right.
I found the film to be, the subject matter to be extremely interesting. Yeah. I felt, and that's why I recommended it, I felt the filmmaker could have made it a little more of a documentary and a little less just of a report.
Or maybe fewer talking heads, and maybe more observational. It would have been interesting showing people trying on, and I'm thinking about this first time, trying on dresses silently and just observing, you know, what people are doing, how they're trying to squeeze into something.
Yeah, coming up next, our video pick of the week, a better baseball film than The Babe, which wouldn't be hard to find.
Siskel and Ebert's video pick of the week, brought to you this week by Orville Redenbacher Popcorn. Do one thing and do it better than anyone.
Earlier in the show, both Roger and I thought that The Babe was quite awful. And if you love baseball, you can do so much better at your local video store. As I mentioned before, I like most every recent baseball movie better than The Babe, including Bull Durham, Field of Dreams, and Major League. But the film that most resembles what The Babe should have been and could have been is The Natural, with Barry Levinson directing Robert Redford in the story of a Ruthian talent. natural has is the joy of the game as well as the dark side of the men who rule the national pastime. It's big business versus natural talent. The Babe fails in trying to hit these issues. The natural connects, and you can find it on tape or on disc. Now let's recap the movies we reviewed on this show. A split vote on City of Joy, Patrick Swayze in India. Roger liked the subplot involving the rickshaw driver. I thought this was a case of Hollywood on the Ganges. 2 thumbs up for